Hi everybody, it's Nikki here and welcome to today's video, which is going to be the start of a weekly vlog. Yes, after the popularity of, or the well-received of my Realmathon Peace Talks weekend readathon, I'll start that again. Blah, 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 blah. After the well-received Realmathon Peace Talks weekend reading vlog that I did in April, I thought, you know what, it might be better if I do weekly reading vlogs rather than a monthly reading wrap-up. So I kind of put a poll on my Instagram, but I don't know if many people saw it. So I'm going to ask here if you can put in the comment section below this video, as this will be my first reading vlog of the month. Would you rather me do weekly reading vlogs to tell you what I'm reading, or do one monthly reading wrap up? Which would you prefer? I'm happy to do either, but not both. So it's one or t'other. Which one would you prefer? What I will probably do is give like the weekly reading stats at the end of every vlog. But then the last week of the month's vlog, that will have the monthly stats in it. So I can still keep those tallied up and everything. Star, can you not be hugging my camera equipment? What am I going to be starting off this week's reading with? Well, I had hoped to get Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber read at the end of April, because it is my Waterstones book club pick. I have the actual book inside my homemade book sleeve, but I realised I needed to finish or to read Finale from the Caraval trilogy first, because Once Upon a Broken Heart, although Stephanie Garber has said that you can read it as a standalone trilogy, the books as a standalone trilogy, it does follow along with some characters that you do meet in Caraval. So my first book, which was not mentioned on my Bookgammon TBR video, will actually be Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I do have the audiobook for this though, so and it's only 10 hours on 2x speed. It should be done within 5 hours. I might be able to get it done today. That would be awesome. But I have some editing to do today. I'm behind on Bookgammon and Shop My Stash videos for May, so I need to get those edited today. I like to have a physical book while I'm editing, because while I'm waiting for the videos to save and then to upload to YouTube, I like to have something physical that I can read as well. So I'm going to pick up one of my non-fictions, because I figure that I can be dipping in and out of this without me losing the flow of the story very much. So this is Billy Butlin's story, A Showman to the End. This is Billy Butlins himself, the man who created the British holiday resort Butlins. Butlins has always been a very special place in my heart. I took my oldest daughter Rowena for the first time when she was just 1 year old, and we went every year for the next 10, 11, 12 years, until I had, you know, my mental breakdown and things started going wrong in life. And then when Rowena was 18 years old, she actually auditioned and became a redcoat at Butlin Skegness. Here she is. Here's the troublemaker. Here is the troublemaker. What are you doing? Now what are you looking for? What else are you going to do that you're not supposed to? Swear down, it's like having a toddler in the house again. Hey, what's up? What's up? Come on, say hello to everybody. Say hello. Because you've introduced yourself, but like, hey, yeah. Go on then. Off you go. She's on heat at the moment, so she's not having a good time. But yeah, So Rowena became a redcoat when she was 18, and she did a year as a redcoat there. So Butlins is a very special place in my heart. So yeah, I'm gonna be reading up on the history of it, I suppose. So that is the that is the intro to my reading vlog. So I'll be listening to Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber on. She's just thrown it on the floor. So I'll be listening to Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber on audiobook, and I'm going to be reading the Billy Butlin story physically while I'm editing. So that is the plans for today. Hopefully I can get somewhat through this while I'm editing, and maybe possibly finish this later on this evening once I've finished editing and I can settle down and listen to this. So I'm gonna go start editing, and I'll be back when I have a bit of a reading update for you. Hi, so it is now Tuesday. I meant to update you last night, but editing my videos yesterday took way longer than I was expecting. My computer is so out of date, it's unbelievable. So I did get the majority of the Billy Butlin story read last night. I had about 100 pages of it left to finish this morning, and I have done that. I've tabbed a couple of really interesting bits in here, like the fact that one of them specifically was that in 1938 Parliament passed legislation giving a week's paid holiday a year to all industrial workers, and this naturally resulted in a huge increase in the number of people who could afford to take a holiday. Yes, he did give a lot of money to charity, and I do feel like in that sense he was an amazing and wonderful man, but you also get like a little excerpt from like his family in here, from two of his sons from different he had a number of wives. I think he had, if I remember rightly counting, he had 3 wives, and his son from his second marriage doesn't have very fond memories of his father, because his father was always at work, always traveling between the different camps and things like that, and always working. So his son from his second marriage doesn't have much family connection with his dad, but his son from his third marriage, when obviously he was he ended up retiring, he did end up spending more time with his family then, and so his second son has much more fond memories of Billy Butlins, his father. So it's like when you look at this from a family point of view, Billy Butlin was not a great family man because he always put work first, but he was able to go from nothing. Literally, he arrived in the UK from living in Canada with his mother and his stepdad. He arrived from Canada into Britain, into the UK, with just £5 in his pocket. And then he worked and worked and worked, created these summer camps, and ended up with a lot of money, and end up selling his selling the company of Butlins to another corporation for millions of pounds. I think the number given was £43 million, and that was back in the 60s or 70s he sold that for. So in today's money, that's probably even more than that. So he really was a zero to hero kind of guy. but I feel like his family suffered along the way. I want to acknowledge that he was a good guy for giving to charities and stuff, but honey, charity starts at home. And yeah, so I feel a little bit two ways about this. The actual book itself, I did actually fly through it, considering that it did take me a whole day, but I was editing videos in between that as well. Considering this is non-fiction, I did fly through it. There is a little section in the middle where we have some photos and things. So that was really interesting to see as well. I did find that the parts about the Butlins camps and how they were built and how they were developed, and the fact that the Butlins camps were used during the war, the Second World War, as army bases and RAF bases and navy bases and things like that. I found that very interesting as well. So I did find it extremely interesting, but I'm conflicted about the man. I am conflicted about the man, but that's because I am family first and foremost, and unfortunately he was not. So yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3 stars because that's a middle of the road kind of score for me, if I'm scoring out of 5, so it's neither great nor bad. So I am gonna just give it 3 stars, but it did read really quickly, and yeah, I'm glad I know a bit more about the man behind one of my favourite holiday resorts. So that's that one. So this morning then I was able to move on to Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I am listening to this on audiobook and I am that far through. I am on chapter, what chapter am I on? Chapter 14 at page 112 at the moment. So really enjoying it. I do like our main character, whose name, Evangeline. I was going to say I forgot her name already. I did, but luckily it's right there on the page. So I do like Evangeline already. She seems very much, she reminds me a lot of Donatella from Caraval. So yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes. So yes, I do have the sequel to this as well on my shelves, and I know that the 3rd book is coming out either later this year or beginning of next year. I can't remember when. But yeah, I'm enjoying it so far, and I do think the possibility of me finishing this today would be awesome, and then I will have to pick a new book. Talking of new books, I have a couple of parcels to open. So this one is from Amazon, I believe. Yeah. When I did Bookgammon and I got the prompt for a Brandon Sanderson book, I said that the next one I had to read was The Way of Kings, because the only other book that I could possibly start now was Cytonic for the Skyward series, but I don't have Cytonic. Well, I ordered it. I have ordered Cytonic from Amazon. I thought that we were still waiting for this to come out in paperback. Apparently I was wrong. It's already out in paperback, and it was also £1 or 2 off currently on Amazon. So instead of the full price of £9.99, I got it for just over £7. So this is a hell of a lot shorter than The Way of Kings. So I am going to swap out The Way of Kings for Cytonic. I know some of my friends were really excited for me to read The Way of Kings, but The Way of Kings, 1,100 pages. Cytonic is way less than that. It's got to be way less than that. 409, 410 pages. So absolutely. However, I did also, while I was at our group meeting of D&D this weekend just gone, I did pick up the bind up for the novellas that are in the Skyward series. Let me grab it for you. So I also grabbed this bind up of the novellas for the Skyward Flight. That's what it's called. It's also a chunker. This is also a chunker, but this has 3 novellas in it. So you have Sunreach, Redawn and Evershaw. Now Sunreach and Redawn are 2.1 and 2.2 novellas. So I need to read them before I read Cytonic. But then the last novella in this bind up is Evershaw, and that is a 3.1 novella. According to Goodreads, anyway. So I need to read Sunreach and Redawn, then Cytonic, then back here for Evershaw to complete these 2 books. So even though technically it's still going to be about 1,000 pages. Tell you what Skyward's about. Skyward is about a girl called Spencer, who is a sci-fi, and she lives on this planet, and her father was a fighter pilot on this planet to fight off the enemy things. I forget. But her father was a fighter pilot, and during one battle it seemed like he had turned coward and tried to run away from the battle, and he was killed. And so because of that, Spencer and her family have been ostracized from the rest of the community because her father was declared a traitor, and so she was not allowed to become a fighter pilot herself, in case she also turned coward and traitor and ran. But she finds a way to join, and the story progresses from there. So I will probably have to rejig my memory about what happened in book 1 and book 2 before I can move on to like these books, but I'm sure I'll be able to find a synopsis for them somewhere to remind myself, and then I can move on to these. So maybe, possibly, I could start the novellas for these 2, the first 2 novellas in here next, after I finished Once Upon a Broken Heart. So yeah, we could do that. But then I did have a second parcel, remember? There was another parcel, and this one is from Waterstones. I forgot I ordered this. So this is one of my pre-orders. The Malevolent Seven by Sebastian de Castell. Yes. So I have read his Spellslinger series, but I have not moved on to the new books that The Way of the Argosy. I haven't moved on to those books yet, but I have read the original Spellslinger series. I have not read the Greatcoats series, I don't believe. But this is a new series, I think. It says, "Think you know wizards, think again." And look at that. Awesome. So it says, 7 powerful mages want to make the world a better place. We're going to kill them first. That sounds awesome. Picture a wizard. Go ahead, close your eyes. There he is. See? Skinny old guy with a long straggly beard. No doubt he's wearing iridescent silk robes that couldn't protect his frail body from a light breeze. The hat's a must too, right? Big floppy thing covered in esoteric symbols that would instantly show every other mage where this one gets his magic. Wouldn't want a simple steel helmet or something that might, you know, protect the part of him most needed for conjuring magical forces from being bashed in with a mace or pretty much any household object, which is what I love about Sebastian de Castell. He has such a humour. Now open your eyes and let me show you what a real war mage looks like. But be warned, you're probably not going to like it. We're violent, angry, dangerously broken people who sell our skills to the highest bidder. Moral or ethical considerations be damned. At least until such irritating concepts as friendship and the end of the world get in the way. My name is Cade Ombra, and I currently make my living as a mercenary wonderist. I used to have a far more noble sounding job title until I discovered the people I worked for weren't quite as noble as I'd believed. Now I'm on the run, and my only friend, a homicidal thunder mage, has invited me to join him on a suicide mission against the 7 deadliest wizards on the continent. Time to recruit some very nasty people to help us on this job. Sounds really, really good, and I'm well looking forward to it. Obviously not on this month's TBR because it doesn't fit into any of the prompts. So those are the 2 new books that I got through the post, one from Amazon and one from Waterstones. I would have got this one from Waterstones, but I didn't see it there. And then of course I was gifted this one as well. So yeah, that is my update for you. I rang the vets today as well. We have got Star booked in to be spayed, neutered, whichever one it is for a female, but she's not booked in till the 2nd of June, which is fun, because the chances are she's probably going to come back on heat before then. So she's already driving us crazy. They're also going to microchip her as well during the same procedure, because better to get it all done while she's under anaesthetic. So that's done. So Scott can now rest in peace, slightly. That you know, she's at least booked in. So unfortunately we had to take her to the vets at 8:30 in the morning though, and Scott is not a morning person, so that's going to be fun. So just taking a break from this, enjoying it so far on chapter 3 of Skyward Flight. I'm on the first story, which was, what was it, Sunreach, is it? Yeah, Sunreach, and we're following a character called FM, or Freya Martin. I've just got that. Anyway, so I'm currently on chapter 3, just about. I did have to read a catch-up for Skyward and what was the second one called? Starsight, because I could not for the life of me remember what had happened. I'm still a little bit unsure, but this one is kind of starting straight into a battle anyway, so I'm sure I'll catch up. I don't know who Jancy Patterson is. Is that a friend of his? I don't know. Anyway, I thought I would quickly while I'm having a bit of a break, just watch Kaylin. Is it Kaylin or Salen? She does pronounce her name at the beginning, but I can never remember it. You know me and my memory. But I'm watching her Beauty A to Z update for May. And this is how I watch my YouTube videos and how I get through so many. So I go up here into the settings and see here, playback speed, normal. Click onto that and then I can either slow it down or speed it up. And I generally watch on a 1.5 speed. So now, instead of it being a 23-minute 42 video, this will probably take me maybe 15 minutes now to watch, and I can get through it. But when I go to watch it,
and I do have 4 items I can roll out this month, which is
she does speak fast, but it's not that, it doesn't make it squeaky or anything, like sometimes you know, you speed up. Like if I was editing my video and I was to speed it up, you would get that squeaky little voice like this. It doesn't do that when you're watching the videos on YouTube. Can you hear me? It just sort of makes them talk faster. And at first you think, oh no, it's too fast, so you can start it at 1.25 speed and then increase the speed. But just like when you're listening to an audiobook, you get used to the speed. So now actually I struggle to watch a YouTube video on normal speed because I feel like they're talking so slow. So this is how I get through longer or any YouTube video now. So I highly recommend, especially for my videos that can go on for a very long time because I'm a waffler, I highly recommend that you go into settings, do it again, and go into playback speed and speed me up because I waffle on for ages. So shorten my videos by speeding me up. You have my permission. Not that you need it, but oh, shut that down, press cancel. So yeah, that's how I get through so many YouTube videos, and I keep up with everybody because I'm not spending 23 minutes watching Kaylin. I am only going to spend 15 minutes, but I still get to watch the whole video. So yeah, good tip for you there. But yeah, I will get back to this after I've watched a couple of YouTube videos. I just feel like I want a break. Sci-fi is not my favoured type of genre. I struggle to take it all in, especially the battle scenes. And seeing as we started with a battle scene, yeah, I feel like I need a break already. But yeah, so I'm going to watch Kaylin and maybe a couple of other ladies that are posting today. I've noticed that Amy Melissa has posted her Alice in Wonderland collab video, and that's over an hour long. So again, I will speed that video up to a 1.5, and so it won't take me an hour to watch it. It'll take maybe 45 minutes to watch it, but I'll probably watch Amy's video while I'm eating dinner later on this evening, because I won't be able to read and eat at the same time, so I'll watch YouTube videos instead. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do now, just watch Kaylin with her Beauty A to Z, and then I will get back to reading in a bit. So
I've been known to be in pain.
Amy walks downstairs to Nourish, and I follow. She takes a ripe mango out of the communal bowl and begins to slice into it. She's wearing a vest, and the muscles in her arm tense as she runs the knife under its skin and cuts into the flesh. It's making me horny again. Everything is. The texture of the fruit, the methodical way she works it, the exotic perfume. But I have to stop this. Not just till after the boat, but for good. I'm not safe to be around. And though I don't know what happened to Amy before she came here, I have a strong sense that safety is what she needs most. Has Bernice spoken to you about Veronica? She asks. I overfill the kettle, so it bubbles noisily when it boils, masking our voices.
Hi, so today it is Thursday, the 4th of May, about 5 o'clock in the evening. I can't remember the last thing I spoke to you about. But I don't know whether I mentioned in my last clip or not, but I did finish Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I do feel that although the author Stephanie Garber has said that you don't have to read Caraval trilogy before starting on the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, because it can and does stand on its own. You don't have to have read Caraval, but because one of the main characters in this book is a character that you do meet in book 2 of the Caraval series trilogy, in the book Legendary, you do meet Jax from that book in here, and I just feel like you would understand Jax and where Jax is coming from if you knew a bit more about what had happened to him prior to the start of this story, because this does kind of carry on the story of Caraval trilogy months after the ending of that series. So, but it does follow different characters. That's what I'm saying. It does follow different characters, so in a sense it can stand on its own. But I feel like you would get more out of this story if you read Caraval trilogy first. So if you have this on your shelves and you haven't read Caraval, then I would highly suggest that you read Caraval, Legendary and Finale first. You will appreciate the characters in here so much better. Saying that, I did only give it 3 stars. I did feel like I wanted a bit more from this book. It's not epic by any means of the imagination, but it is a story worth telling. So yeah, 3 stars on that one. And then I think I did show you that I was going to pop into Skyward Flight. This is a bind up of 3 novellas by Brandon Sanderson and Jancy Patterson. So I have finished the first novella in here, which was Sunreach, and we were following one of the characters from the first 2 books, who is kind of like a side character in those first 2 books of Skyward and Starsight. This does sort of follow on from the events of Starsight, but we are back on the original like planet of detritus, and back with the fighting crew that our original character Spencer was a part of. So it's following Spencer's off doing something else and we are kind of following her flight crew that she's kind of left behind. So very interesting, because we're getting to learn more about the slugs. If you know, you know. And so cute and adorable. I want one. I want a doom slug. Actually, now I want a Gil. I want a Gil because he is adorable. So yeah, I want one. I think didn't everybody from who followed his secret thingies? I know Penelope, or Penny, from Penelope the Paperback Cat, got a box of goodies from Brandon Sanderson and his new books and stuff. And I think, if I'm right, she got a cuddly Doomslug thing. I'm not sure. I might have to watch that video again. But yeah, I do anything to own a little cuddly Doomslug. Anything. So yeah, so I've read the first book in that. I'm gonna take a break from this though, so I don't quite know what to reach for next. I'm kind of wanting some romance. I am kind of wanting some romance. So do I? It's over there. Do you mind? Can I just move you? Thank you. I'm back. Okay, so I'm fancying some romance. So, Terry Brisbane's The Highlander's Runaway Bride. I'm thinking of maybe... Oh, I already have a thing in there. I didn't realise I had that. Thinking I might pop into some of this. I'm just fancying some smut. I'm in the mood for some smut. The thing with this is because it is very much, you know, sci-fi, spaceships, flying and all sorts of spacey stuff, aliens and stuff, it slows my reading down because I can't get my head around it. Fantasy worlds, oh yeah, just build a whole fantasy world, give me a whole magic system and I'll get it. But sci-fi, woo! So yeah, that really kind of took me way too long to read, 160 pages that the first novella was. So I'm going to take a break from that, and I think I'm going to move on to some smutty romance. This shouldn't take me too long, I don't think. We shall see. But I do have another Waterstones. So let's have a look. Pre-order. To be honest, I can't remember what I pre-ordered. Let's try the other side. It's the new Olivia Blake. Oh, and it's all crushed, look. Come on, Waterstones, don't do that to me. So this is the new Olivia Blake. One for My Enemy, and this is a Waterstones exclusive edition. Look at those sprayed edges. Look. That is a gorgeous cover. Be But Mine. So you've got like a dagger with these roses on it. Ooh, I like that a lot. So this one, oh, it's got end papers as well. Look at those end papers. Aren't they cute? There's nothing on the front cover, it's just a plain black. But do you know what? You go for it, Waterstones. Absolutely. Ooh, and then there's the boys at the back. Oh, awesome. Okay, so. Oh, Olivia Blake is a pen name. So, in New York City, two rival witch families fight for the upper hand. The Antonova sisters are beautiful, cunning and ruthless, and their mother, known only as Baba Yaga, is an elusive supplier of premium intoxicants. Their adversaries, the influential Fedorov brothers, serve their crime boss father. Named Koschai the Deathless, his enterprise dominates the shadows of magical Manhattan. For 12 years, the families have maintained a fraught stalemate. Then everything is thrown into disarray. Bad blood carries them to the brink of disaster, even as fate draws together a brother and sister from either side. Yet the siblings still struggle for power, and internal conflicts could destroy each family from within. That is, if the enmity between empires doesn't destroy both sides first. Oh, so excited. Now, I have read Atlas 6 and its sequel, which is, what's the other two books? The Atlas Paradox. And I think this is Alone With You in the Ether series. Hang on. Are these standalones? They better be standalones, because I know that Alone With You in the Ether is also a book by her, but I don't think these are part of a series. And then you've got Master Death as well. Ooh, I love this. I love, in the Atlas 6, you every now and again at the chapters you get a picture of the characters, and I love that. I love that this happens in her books. It just helps you to picture her characters even better, you know. Like, look at that. I mean, that is awesome. Yes, a little bit of damage at the bottom, but never mind. Yeah, so I haven't got Alone With You in the Ether. but I may pick that up. I don't know. So yes, I bought that. That is a pre-order, by the way. I didn't buy it. I pre-ordered it. It was coming. So that's that. So yeah, other than that, been watching a bit of Supernatural. Been watching a few Disney vlogs, because if you don't know, me and the family, my husband, my daughter and her boyfriend are all going to Disney World in Florida, Orlando next year. We're all extremely excited. My daughter and I have been before. We went back 10 years ago. Can't remember when it was we went, but it was for her 10th birthday and my 30th birthday. And we sort of went for the time period between our two birthdays, because my birthday's in November and her birthday's in December, and we kind of went in between those two dates, and we had a wonderful time. And so it is our second time going, but my husband has been to Disney World, but his family only kind of went to the water parks and then saw the fireworks. They didn't really do anything else at Disney. So technically he feels like it's his first time. And then for my daughter's boyfriend, it really is his first time being at Disney World in Florida. So it's going to be very exciting for all of us. We're all very excited.
I've been known to be impatient. I've been known.
Hi, so I am here to wrap up this vlog. It is now Monday morning. I meant to wrap it up last night, but I had a busy day going to book club in the morning, and there was only me and Tilly there again this month. I do hope that the others do return, because it's been me and Tilly now for 2 months. But the next meeting is going to be held on the 11th of June at our local Waterstones book club. So if you're in the Middlesbrough area, please do come along and join us. It's great fun. We did discuss our group book, which I will speak about in a moment. And we have picked our next book for June, which is, bear with me, I'll grab it, which is going to be Percival Everett, Dr. No. This one, it captured my attention. It's completely out of my comfort zone because it's classed as literary fiction, but it's one that captured my attention, and one that I think I'm definitely going to want to speak to people about once I finish reading it. So this was my choice. They picked my choice again. So it says, Walu Kitu is a brilliant professor of mathematics. He is an expert on nothing. That is to say, he is an expert and his area of study is nothing, and he does nothing about it. This makes him the perfect partner for the aspiring villain John Sill, who wants to break into Fort Knox to steal a shoebox containing nothing. Once he controls nothing, he'll set the rest of his plans for domination in process. Or so he thinks. There is more. It does go on to say a bit more, but I think that is enough to gain your interest. I'm sure very interesting. It sounds mad and crazy, and I'm just very intrigued by it. So yeah, this is our June pick, or April, May. What month are we in? May. This is our May to June pick for our Waterstones book club, and I'm very excited about it. It's out of my comfort zone, but I'm intrigued. I'm definitely intrigued. So this is our new book for book club. So I did manage to read 3 whole books this week. One novella from a bind up, and I got about halfway through another book. So let me go through and just give you a quick wrap up. So the first book I finished was Billy Butlins' story, written by Billy Butlins himself, with some excerpts from his wife and his children. This is A Showman to the End. My thoughts and feelings on this are mixed. As a businessman, he was amazing. As an entrepreneur, he had it. He had whatever it was that he needed to get. He bought the land at Skegness for £3,000, and then many years later he sold Butlins, the business, to Rank Entertainment for £43 million. I mean, he was a good businessman, but I got the feeling that it was at the detriment of his own family. So yes, Billy Butlins is responsible for creating the quintessential British family seaside holiday resorts. But as a family man himself, I feel like his family lost out a lot. So I did end up giving this 3 stars. It was very quick and easy to read. I flew through this, considering it's non-fiction. So yeah, I mean, he was obviously a very well spoken person, because this is his autobiography in his words. And I flew through it. So I did give this 3 stars. The next book I finished was my Waterstones book club pick. This is my Waterstones edition, although I did get this in a Fairy Loot box as well, but I ended up gifting my Fairy Loot copy to someone else. This is Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. Now, I had seen Stephanie Garber herself say that you can read this without having read the Caraval trilogy first. And the consensus when we met up yesterday at book club was the lady who was a member of staff at Waterstones was saying that as she was reading this, she felt like she was missing the inside joke. She felt like she was missing information, and she kept flicking back thinking she'd maybe misread something, or she didn't quite take something in, but realizing that the information she was seeking was not in this book, but it felt like it should have been. Like it was written as if you already had this information. And I told her, yes, that information is in the Caraval trilogy. So although the author Stephanie Garber has said you can read this without having read the Caraval trilogy, as a reader, my opinion is you need to read the Caraval trilogy in order to understand and get some of the concepts that are in Once Upon a Broken Heart. It does expect you to have that knowledge of who the Fates are and why they are the way they are, and where they've come from, how they got here, and all of that. And so I do really feel like if you have this from a Fairy Loot box, or you've picked it up because you like the cover, in my opinion, please pick up the Caraval trilogy first before you dive into this. Otherwise, this is just gonna feel like you have half a story. Is the Caraval trilogy great? Absolutely not. It's not the greatest trilogy I've ever read, but you will appreciate this more if you've read it. So the general consensus for the group was a 2 to 3 stars. I personally gave it 3 stars. As I say, it's not the greatest I've ever read, but it was enjoyable, and I do have the second book on my shelves already. I have the third on pre-order from Waterstones, so it's definitely a series that I am going to continue, but kind of wish I'd just picked up the paperbacks instead of the hardbacks. But you know, this one thing I did mention actually at book club yesterday was that this, I felt, was great for people who are wanting to get into fantasy but worried that it's not their normal genre to read, and they worry that the magic system and the world building of some epic fantasies you hear about are too much for them. I would say this is a very good stepping point for you getting into fantasy. Caraval trilogy and then this, remember. This is a great stepping stone into the fantasy genre for maybe people who've never read fantasy before, or for the younger young adults, so like 14, 15, 16-year-olds, because it's a simple fantasy. There's no depth to it. There's no epic world building or epic character magic building. I would put this along the lines of Holly Black's The Cruel Prince. It's simple fantasy. You don't have to think too hard about it. You don't have to worry about learning new worlds or new magic systems or anything like that. Yes, it is a magical world, but it's a very simple magical world. So great for people who want to dip into fantasy, but it's not your normal genre. So yeah, but please read Caraval trilogy first before dipping into the Once Upon a Heart series. The next book I finished was The House Share by Kate Helm. I listened to this on audiobook through BorrowBox, and I've got to say I was disappointed. I don't think I gave you my wrap up for this. This is basically about Imi, who is looking for accommodation in London. She is a school teacher, and she's down on her luck. She needs new accommodation because she's been sleeping on a friend's couch. And she finds this community living building called the Dye Factory. That's D-Y-E. And she goes for a group interview there, much to her shock, and she gets a place. But what she realizes is this house is full of secrets. Everyone has a secret. And we have another character in here called, is it Dex? And he also has a secret. And between the two of them, they discover these secrets. There's a lot of clickiness, a lot of underhandedness around here, you know, people who think they are better than everyone else, so like manipulate and tease and bully and stuff like that. Everything I hate about cliques. It read quintessentially like, you know, when you're at school and everyone's bitching about each other and you know, trying to get people to make out with each other and stuff like that. And it was a lot of that. And the reveal at the end about what is the actual truth about this community living building, the Dye Factory, because that's the whole thing, is who owns the Dye Factory and what is its true purpose, you know. And the whole revolution about that, resolution, should I say, not revolution, the whole resolution of that, I felt was a bit, you know when you just get to the book and you go, that's it? That's the ending? Okay. Okay. And that's how it left me with. I was like, what? No, I didn't, no. So I was a little bit let down by this, because I've read The Secrets You Hide by Kate Helm and was absolutely blown away by the resolution of that book. I was like, oh my goodness. And that kept me on the edge of my seat. That one, The Secrets You Hide, kept me wanting to turn the page. This one, not so much. I think it was the 20-somethings all like, just the it felt like high school. It felt like high school with the, you know, the popular kids and the not so popular kids and bullying and stuff, and I just didn't like it. I wasn't impressed. I will be passing this on. If you're into thrillers, maybe this might be more up your street. Remember that thriller is not my preferred genre. It's not my greatest, but I mean, other people might enjoy this, but my personal enjoyment was a 2, unfortunately. So that's what I gave this one. And then, as I say, I did read the first novella in my Skyward Flight bind-up by Brandon Sanderson and Jancy Patterson. So I read Sunreach. I did really enjoy this. It was only 160 pages, so not too far. I will be continuing this next week. And I did enjoy it, but I must admit, because I'm not really a great fan of sci-fi, it's the techie bit. The techie bit gets me. It just goes over my head. I'm not into science. So the techie bits, the scientific bits, they just, when they're, you know, talking about Mag 3 and Mag 9 and speeds and stuff like, are they going fast or are they going slow? I don't know. I have no idea. So like, it's all the techie bits that get me to go, oh, I have no idea what's happening. But the characters in here are what you really fall for. The characters are who you really pull for. We followed Faye, whose call sign is FM. And we have these creatures that they're trying to discover more information about. I can't go into too much detail because it might be a spoiler for Skyward and Starsight, which are the first 2 books in the series. And then we also have like a little budding romance, and oh my god, I just want to hug them both. So I felt very motherly towards them, God bless them. So yeah, I really enjoyed it, so I will be continuing to move on to the second novella in here next week, because that is book 2.2 in the series. But then Evershore, which is the 3rd novella in here, I will have to read after I finished Cytonic, which is the 3rd book in the series. So this will be continued into next week. And then I was hoping that I would get this one finished. This is The Highlander's Runaway Bride by Terry Brisbane. I am over halfway. I'm at chapter 15 to page 212 out of 360. So what? 150 pages left maybe, so well over halfway. I am really enjoying it, but because I was busy yesterday, and you've got to remember, whenever I'm socializing out of the house, my anxiety is constantly there at the back of my head going, we need to go home, we need to go home, we need to go home. So I'm fighting it constantly every time I step out of my house. So when I get home, I'm exhausted. I'm mentally exhausted. So generally, after I've been out, the rest of the day is just me, or pretty much asleep, because I'm just so tired. People don't realize when you have like what I call clinical anxiety, because everybody has anxiety. Everybody gets anxious about things. But when you have what I call clinical anxiety, it's exhausting. Socializing, leaving your home, your safe zone, is exhausting, because your mind is constantly going, go back home where it's safe, go back home where it's safe, don't go out, don't speak to them, don't talk to them, don't go anywhere, don't do anything, get back home, get back home, get back home. And you're constantly fighting that, going, nope, I need to go out, I want to see my friends, I want to go to book club, I want to do this. So even though I might come across as I'm relaxed, in my head, it's going nuts. And I'm working really, really hard to act normal in public. So I was exhausted yesterday, so I didn't get as much of this read as I wanted to. All of that to say, I didn't finish it. So this will be continuing into next week, into this week's vlog. Which I will be starting straight after I've wrapped up. So that is it. That is everything that I read this week. I hope you've enjoyed this vlog. I'm going to be starting a second week's vlog, so keep your eyes focused for that. I'm going to try and get this edited today and put up today. Wish me luck. But yeah, that is it. That is my first weekly reading vlog of May done. I hope you've enjoyed it. I don't know how long it's been. I hope you grabbed a coffee and a piece of cake or something before you sat down, because this has probably been epic. So I'm gonna go and leave you now. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.